And also, do we want to go ahead and jump on to Google Docs? So we
Yeah,
can,
let's do it.
I mean, that's what we need to work on, is that
Might as well, yeah, it makes no sense.
document there. Should
Are we already live?
Should we create a folder or something? Like who turned it in last week? Because we had this Google assignment template. I guess we can
Mike
just,
was supposed to submit it. Did you submit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
okay. Do we want to like rotate submitting it, or is Michael wanting to? Are you just did you just copy this and put it into a Word document last week and then submit it that way, I assume?
Right, yeah. But I think, yeah, we could probably just switch it out or rotate or whatever, because, like, hopefully during the discussion we do, like, the majority of the idea, and then someone just finishes, like, kind of putting it together.
Yeah.
And we don't really need to keep them, so usually we could just probably edit this one each week and just delete last week's stuff and put this week's stuff, kind of a thing, so.
Yeah, so just use this. Yep. Okay.
Do you want to do it this week, Kyle?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead then and start. And this week we're not doing the real life example. We're just doing our own example. So,
Okay.
So we have, on this template, we have an explanation of our example. Do we really need that for this week? Probably not. At least I don't for my questions.
An example? I thought we always had to have an example.
I think for the explanation, you can just kind of explain the principle for this week and then do the quiz question, like explain for our specific scenario when a minor is and isn't liable for, 1 second, my dogs are getting into the trash.
So should we just, for the explanation of our example, just put what we were asked? Or no, that doesn't. When?
I thought we had to have an actual example. So like I put an example of like when a minor is not liable, and I just talked about like James, who's 17 years old, advertises his old iPhone on online classifieds, and kind of gave an example of him like selling something, saying it worked, and then somebody else purchasing it who is not a minor, and it doesn't work, but James isn't liable because he's only 17 years old. I thought we actually had to give like a scenario. Am I wrong?
Not necessarily. Like we could do that. That's fine. I think for the explanation of the example, like Kyle was saying, it's mainly when it's a real life scenario. But if it's made up, usually we can just kind of explain the principle behind our example.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we really need that section. Do you guys feel okay if I just get rid of that?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's basically in the.
It'll be in the quiz question. Everything that we need, everything that the person needs. So.
Well, keep that.
I'm sorry, I just kind of jumped in, you guys. Do you guys have a Google Docs open or?
Yeah, we do. It's just the one from last week, the same Google template. We're just revising it. Since we don't need to keep the previous one, we're just going to go ahead and edit that for this week.
Okay, perfect.
And then I'm going to turn that in. I'll copy that to a Word document. We were basically asked to give 2 examples, but for our question, it's only one question. So do we want to Do we want to go ahead and like go over what we have and then decide on what question we want to have? And I guess because it's for group 5, it says give an example that demonstrates when a minor is liable for a contract and when a minor is not liable. So that's two separate, instances there.
Yeah.
So
we can, for the question, I think we just need to pick one or the other. But
yeah.
like for the explanation, that's why we should probably include that just to explain when.
Have one of the wrong answers kind of, yeah, I gotcha. So I'll go ahead and start for my, I guess, and I guess I didn't really, maybe I still didn't do this right. I didn't really write out a question yet, which is what we obviously need, but I just kind of wrote a little scenario. It's simple. It's just a minor makes an agreement with an adult to borrow $2,000 to buy a used car. The minor said he will work to pay off the loan, but he never gets a job. And so in this scenario, the minor is not held liable. Because he's not liable for that contract because he's a minor. Some examples that I found for when a minor will remain liable is if a minor enlists in the armed services, they can't simply back out or try to dodge that. They are obligated to fulfill their duties as if they were an adult. Also, anything involving financial transactions with the bank, they can't defer that, or they can't cancel that contract. There's another example too. Oh, also taxes. Obviously, minor can't dodge taxes. So those are just some examples of situations in which a minor is still liable for a contract.
So I put too, like when they're liable for a contract. My example was just that a teenager rents a room from a friend. She signs, 1-year contract, but after 2 months she quits paying and then moves out 2 months later. She's not liable, or she is liable for the additional 2 months that she stayed because that was in that category of necessaries. Do you guys see that part?
Yeah, things that are necessary to that.
Yeah,
necessity.
So she lived there, but she didn't pay rent, so she's still liable for that rent, even though she's a minor. What do you guys have? Or Michael, what do you have?
Yeah, so kind of just going off of what you guys have said, mine was pretty similar. This kid, buys a motorcycle with a fake ID, falsifying his age, from a motorcycle dealership, and he, a few days later he crashes the motorcycle. Well, he goes back to the dealership and basically gives it back to him, and they said, well, you still have to pay the rest of it. You have a contract, and he's actually not held liable to pay the rest of the contract. However, he is required to return any of the remaining. So he has to return like the busted up motorcycle to them, but he doesn't have to pay for it, basically. And then that's kind of what I was reading, was like anytime so like if they loaned them money and then they spent it and never paid it back, or they spent most of it, they would have to pay back what they still have, but they wouldn't be liable for the rest, is what I was kind of reading about. So.
I think I read those exact same examples too.
Ben, what do you have?
So actually, sorry guys, I'm here at work right now, and the internet's just being all funky, so I apologize. I'm not gonna have my video up, but one of the ones that I found was actually, I went ahead and was actually looking in some real court cases that had to do with minors, and one of them was actually for a couple named Janice and Fred, and they were married and they purchased a home, and they were both minors, and so they went in to obtain a mortgage, and Fred, he lied about his age so that he was able to get a loan from the seller. And about 6 months later, Janice and Fred, they both separated. And then she moved back in with her parents, and he decided that he no longer wanted to pay for the mortgage. So he actually sued the seller to try to recover payments on that were being made, so he could make that were being made on the mortgage, saying that they sold to him as he was a minor. But on the contract, he had lied about his age. And so because of all that, and that he had signed that contract, and since that housing falls into the category of necessaries with the court, with like bank regulations, the military necessaries, he was not able to just walk away from his obligation to pay the mortgage, and they made him take to his contract, even though he was a minor. Now, one of the ones that I was kind of looking into where they didn't, and I couldn't find it like a definite example of when they wouldn't be liable for it, and it just kind of goes back when they wouldn't receive, when of course it wasn't done in a legal way with, like I guess with the military, or done with the bank, because the banks usually take the necessary precautions in order to make sure that they are able to do it. Because if he did go through a bank and all that, just exactly what happened with Fred, he had indeed to pay the mortgage and make the payments. But so I just kind of went, if they didn't get their guardian to help be a co-signer or any of that, then technically they could void the contract, or they could void anything if it wasn't. So for example, we were talking about a little bit earlier, that he was signed a contract for that motorcycle, all that stuff, but didn't do it just with the kind of a third party, just some random person that signed their contract. Technically, they could void that. Because he is a minor. So that's kind of the only examples that I was able to come up with and see what that's.
Okay, so what do we want to use for our quiz question?
Do we want to base it on someone being liable or not liable?
I think it would be like a little bit more tricky, try to like make it hard for everybody, but if it was not liable, like make a scenario where it seems like, oh yeah, they would definitely have to, be liable or have to pay that back, but in that specific scenario they don't. That's just my opinion. I don't know.
I feel like there are less instances or examples of where a minor actually is liable. Would you guys want to do a question where like the minor actually is liable? Because I feel like that would be I don't know. There's like less, and in the reading too, and in the textbook, there's like less about when a minor actually is liable.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
What was your example, Holly, about when the minor was liable?
Mine was that a 16-year-old teenager rents a room from a friend, and she signs a 1-year contract, and she pays $200 a month to rent a room, and she pays the first 2 months, but then she loses her job, but she doesn't tell her friend, so she still lives there for another 2 months, and then when her friend finds out, she kicks her out, and then sues her for the back rent, and the teenager is liable because it's under the necessaries. It's rent, housing, I guess.
Okay. I think that's a pretty good example. What do you guys think?
The only problem with it is after I thought about it, and I was actually reading more examples, there's a really similar one in the textbook. So I don't know if that matters or not, but
I don't think that matter.
Okay. So here, you know what? I'm going to copy and paste my example, and then you guys.
She does have a lease in the example though, like a lease or a contract. She's not just renting from a friend.
Right. I put that it here. I'll just show you. I'll put it under example. You guys can read it and tell me what you think.
And I think too, like if we can add a part where she actually lies about her age, and then we can use that as one of the false answers that she's liable because she lied about her age, which actually wouldn't still make her liable. But you know, it's kind of a trick.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
That's good.
So let me jump on.
And maybe the quiz question could be something about, obviously about the liability of owing the money.
I think that's pretty well worded, personally.
I don't know if, it says she signed a contract for 1 year. That might throw some people. I don't know. Like we always try and do, you want them to at least have to think about it, but not make it impossible. So
Yeah.
And maybe we could make our question as simple as, is Shelley liable for the 2 months rent for the time she lived there or not? And then the question or the answers can be, yes, because, no, because, no, because.
Yeah, I think I think we should do that. That way it'd give them an opportunity to think, but then it'd kind of be almost like the 50-50. They can either answer yes or no.
Yeah, and there will be 2 yeses and 2 nos, but one of the yeses is wrong. And maybe, I don't know. How did you guys do on the review quiz from everybody from last week?
I felt like this one was a little bit easier than the first week. I guess now kind of getting it down a little bit, and from doing the readings and stuff, it seemed like it was a little bit more forward. There was one of them. I'm trying to remember the last one that was a little bit confusing for me. It was the iPod or the iPhone one that was a little confusing for me. I didn't understand exactly what they were asking with that one, but I thought it was okay. I did okay on it. So
yeah. Did you guys feel like our questions were reasonable as far as their choices for answers?
I did. I liked.
Yeah, I did too.
We're talking about last week or the one for this week?
Either one. I was just wondering if you.
I haven't taken the review quiz for week 3 yet. I've only done the week 3 ones due at the end of this week.
Yeah.
I didn't even, since I wasn't there the first week, I didn't even know which question was ours from last week. So.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Oh, hey, one thing I was going to ask is when this document is done, could whoever's in charge of like doing the upload just send us a copy? Because last week I had to leave a few minutes early from this, and I actually just went back in tonight to review what the final everything was. So, and if we're just going to use the same one each week and just override it, it'd just be nice to have a copy of what we've done each month or each week.
Sure. Yeah. Well, you can always too just copy it right off of here and paste it.
True.
However you wanna. That way it's always there.
Okay. All right. So what do you guys want to do for the question? Basically just, is Shelley liable for the 2 months rent?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty direct, even reading that example right there. So in this case, would Shelley, who is a minor, be liable to pay for those 2 months of rent?
And she would be, right? Because it's falls under necessaries.
Yeah, she is liable.
Yep.
You know,
She would be
we do need
liable.
to, we need to take this off because we don't want our answer there.
Can we add a part, like I said, about she lies about her age, and then
Yeah.
that can be a good false answer to throw them off.
Sure.
Well, maybe it should be
It'll all
with a
have
friend
all
then, because I feel like if you live with a friend, you can't really like lie about your age.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is a friend.
So maybe
I was just thinking, what,
Don't even know your
Just change
age.
from a friend to just change it from a friend to
some random,
a
like,
landlord.
and the other reason I put with a friend was because I was thinking, who lets a 16-year-old come live with them and pay rent? But
yeah.
we
I
could
guess
have some,
we could do that. She's trying to get like an apartment, contacts the landlord, like just do something like that, and agrees to pay the landlord $200 per month for the room in her apartment.
Yeah, like you could just find like someone on Craigslist that's renting out a room in their apartment already, and then they sign up write up a contract for $200 a month, and Shelley verified that she was 20 years old or whatever, and then come to find out she wasn't.
So we're
Yes, we're gonna go ahead and change that up then a little bit. Shelley, who's 16 years old. Yeah, you could put it like Shelley, who is 16 years old, decides to move out from her parents' house. She finds an apartment room on Craigslist that is asking for $200 a month per room. She signs a contract for 1 year and moves in. After 2 months, Shelley then loses her job, but doesn't tell the landlord. She continues to live there for another 2 months, but doesn't pay her rent. Since she no longer has any money, her landlord makes her move out and takes Shelley to court to pay the additional 2 months of rent. And then we also have to put in there that she lied, that she's lies about her age.
Yeah, so
Okay, I'm working on some wrong answers here.
Holly, do you have that correct answer still?
yeah, I'll put in the quiz question in the first correct answer.
Okay, perfect.
How would you word this about the necessaries? Yes, because even though she's a minor, she is liable because.
Yes, because even though she's a minor, she is liable because it falls on her. So we say, I mean, would it be too obvious if we say something like yes, because even though she's a minor and lied about her age, she is still liable because it falls under necessaries?
I'm just gonna write this answer is not correct because lying about her age alone does not hold her liable. And that way it kind of doesn't give away the right answer.
Okay.
Okay. So this is a long answer that we can do right here. 2.
Somebody working on the question.
Yeah, I just got it
Oh,
done.
sweet. My computer was kind of lagging there, so I couldn't really look around.
It could be me. I'm sorry. My internet here, I don't know how good it is at work.
Oh no, I think I mean it's not like the Google Hangouts, but my like entire computer started slowing down. I was afraid I was gonna lose you guys, and if I lost you guys, then we lose the whole thing.
Oh no. Okay, so I finished my correct answer and feedback. Let me know what you guys think.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read that. Quiz question: is Shelley liable for the 2 months of rent she owes? Correct answer: yes. Even though she is a minor, she is liable because it falls under necessaries. Minors are liable for if it is something they have used, such as housing. Yeah.
I think that's good. Wrong answer 1. Then somebody work on the wrong answer 2.
It's because she lied about her age. It's the wrong answer. The answer is lying about her age. It doesn't hold the minor liable. Let's see, what's the wrong answer there we could go ahead and do. Do we want to do that yes, yes, and no, no? So right now we want to do no.
Probably.
Okay. So, wrong answer.
I say we just keep wrong answer number 3. Assault. Like,
If we could
if she
put
got
wrong,
liable, assault. That would just be the answer.
Let's see,
we
And
could
the
just put
feedback
no
is-
because she is a minor.
For which one?
The wrong answer number 2.
yeah, no, because she's a minor.
Period. Yeah. And the feedback is this is incorrect because minors are liable for necessaries.
Wrong answer 3. Feedback is perfect. This answer is incorrect because she was not assaulted in any way. That's very true.
Because minors. This is because minors. This is because
We're getting an echo here.
you see. So should I put that in because minors are liable for necessaries?
Yeah.
Are you guys getting an echo?
Yeah, I am.
Me too.
What's that?
That's not me. I just muted myself.
All right, I just got the question part done. Thanks.
I'm going to put job in here.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
For number 3, I want to find a term that's found in the book, because the correct answer, there's a major echo here. The first answer I think seemed kind of obvious. Sorry. I just hear everything I say.
Maybe instead of putting it falls under necessaries, we could put yes, even though she's a minor, she's liable for rent. And then that way they have to have read what necessaries are.
Yeah, I think that would go. Because then, I mean, this is all about necessary, so then they'd have to understand that that's what's going to fall under the minor to be liable.
Yeah, because to me, if I was doing this question, even if I hadn't read the book, just seeing like a big word like, oh, necessaries, that must be the right answer, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm going to find another term to use for wrong answer number 3.
And Kyle, you can go in and fix any of this.
I'm sorry?
You could go in and fix any of this. If, you know, wording wise, if you want after, before you submit it.
Do you mind if I switch up a little bit the wording for wrong answer number 2?
So we need a wrong answer for me?
Yeah. I don't know, wrong answer is pretty similar to wrong answer, but I can't really think of anything else. I just put no because it puts under 18 lacks the capacity to enter into a contract. And then the feedback would be the same for as feedback for the wrong answer too. So incorrect because minors are liable for necessaries. Do you guys like that? Or you want to change it up a bit?
I say it's good.
Um,
So the question is Shelley liable for the 2 months of rent she owes? The correct answer is yes, even though she is a minor, she's liable because she lived in the apartment and didn't pay her rent. Wrong answer, yes, because she lied about her age. That's incorrect because lying about her age alone doesn't make a minor liable. Wrong answer number 2, no, because she as a minor. That should be is. No, because she is a minor. I think it's supposed to be no, because as a minor. No, because as a minor she can void contract. And then this is incorrect because minors are liable for necessaries. Wrong answer number 3. Is she liable for the 2 months of rent? No, because a person under 18 lacks the capacity to enter into a contract.
those are good. I do want to change wrong answer number 1. Not maybe add a little bit more to it, because I feel like whenever you're doing one of these quizzes, you can kind of figure it out based on the thought that's put into the answer. Because like the first one's got like it's a lot more to it, but then this one's just like, yeah, because she lied about her age. So like maybe yes, because she lied about her age, making it something, just to kind of have it a little bit more substance. That way people don't just write it off.
Yeah, I have an idea. That's because she lied about her age. Oh, whoops, I remembered before. What is that term?
Maybe you could put yes, because she lied about her age, the contract is void. Or oh wait.
I was going to say yes, because she lied about her age, forfeiting her disaffirmance, which is the cancellation or rejection of a contract. You're all right. What do you think about that?
That's good.
So I look better now.
Yeah, that's way good. Good words.
Doesn't matter. She can. Okay, how's this look? I feel pretty good about this.
I think it's good.
Okay. I mean, this is just like one quiz question. It's not like the, I think this will be fine.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and link it. I will post the link here. I'll also post it on the community page. I can also post this link to the community page as well.
Okay. Did you guys want to meet earlier next week then, or?
It just depends on what Benjamin can do. I mean, if he can't meet any earlier than this, I mean, you know, I think we should try to accommodate for him.
Okay.
So if you can attend, but I mean, I don't want to. I couldn't do it any later because, like I said, here it's 11:30 now. So
Yeah. So let's keep it the same for next week and then go from there. Kyle, do you want to just be the one in charge of like sending the Google Hangout?
yeah, I could do that. And sorry I didn't do it before too, because I hadn't done it before, and I just kind of thought either you or Benjamin was going to send it out, and plus I didn't have everybody's email either. So, but now that I have it, I'll also post everybody's email to the community page, so we can all see that to communicate. And then every week I'll initiate the hangout session.
Okay. Perfect.
All right, cool.
Thanks, everyone.
So have a good night, guys.
All right, night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.